Thank
Hello and welcome to Podiatry Practice Mastery. My name is Don Pelto and I have Sharon Duncan with me. Welcome, Sharon.
Hey, thanks for having me. Really glad to be here.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm so excited to talk to you because I know you are excited about money, money management, how to make good uses of your money. And we were talking a little bit before, and one of the challenges for us as doctors is we're kind of highly paid. And so whether we're good with money or not, it doesn't really matter if there's enough overflow. So, but you help people kind of manage their money, and not just money, but kind of like the overall having a better lifestyle. So
Exactly.
let's talk a little bit about kind of what you love doing, what type of people you love to help, and some of the best tips. And I'll kind of guide you along as you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I love watching people come into my office who are uncomfortable talking about money. We move the money block out of the way. We don't talk about money first. We talk about the human first, the human beings first. Because if you think of money in a soul's perspective, for example, we're not here that long, right? So we zoom out, we go, we're not here that long. And then we look at money and its function in our life. Then it kind of takes the sting out of the fear, the sting and the fear around money kind of out of the way, so that we can zoom out, look at what's our purpose here, and how do we make money that is so practical function in our lives in a way that supports us, right? It supports our mission and also helps us to live a life with meaning and purpose, so that that undercurrent of financial fear has dissipated or gone. So if you think about it, in the morning when you wake up, let's say you have 100% of energy, and you have this niggling, I don't know how to do money. I don't know how to do money. Money escapes me. Money's not my area. It's not my thing, right? So you have that going on. So, and that's going on behind the background, whether you know it's there or not. So you wake up with 100% of energy. You've got that going on in the background. It depletes your energy, right? Because there's noise going on. So every time you pay a bill, anytime you look at a bill, you receive money, it's pushing the bear of financial insecurity, right? So it reduces our energy to thrive in our lives. It doesn't mean that, that we're not going to thrive. It just takes away energy that we could be using to fulfill our purpose in a more meaningful way.
Wow, this is a deep talk here. So we're talking more, not even how much money you have, but it's your mindset behind money.
Exactly.
And even insecurity. Like, give you some examples. I'll give you my examples, probably common. One thing I always heard from my parents: we can't afford that. The only thing I ever heard from my parents is we can't afford that. So they never could afford anything. I'm first generation doctors, like a lot of people listening. Then the best thing that ever happened to me, I was listening to Dave Ramsey, and he talked about an emergency fund. And because what always happened is when I had to pay taxes, I had a big tax bill, and I was paying off my student loans aggressively. But I find the best thing that ever helped me was keeping, you're going to laugh, it might be too much, but I keep between $60,000 and $100,000 just sitting there in case. And I can sleep so much better just having that reserve in case anything, no matter how catastrophic, it just gives me, I can sleep. I never worry about it anymore because of that. That's what's helped me. But tell me about some of the things what are some of the mistakes that people make, and maybe some of the solutions?
Well, first, I just want to address bravo. You should have an emergency fund, and it should be at least 6 months to 2 years, just setting aside. And interest bearing account right now is nothing, right? 0.75%, right?
But I can sleep okay.
Right. And you know that it's not going to go anywhere, especially if you have it in a bank that's insured. You're not going to lose that money, right? So it's always going to be there. So if catastrophic events happen, you have that. So bravo, that's great. Some of the biggest mistakes are fooling yourself that money doesn't matter, right? So
like, it's okay to be poor, not even poor, but like, oh, it's not that important to own my own practice. I'm okay just getting a salary.
Exactly.
Not being ambitious with money.
Exactly. The people that I have found that have the biggest difficulty with money are the ones who say money doesn't matter. And why is that? I don't know. I think it's because, um,
They might think it's bad, like dirty money, like money is dirty, or like
exactly,
I right? Or something
exactly.
like this.
Money is bad. People with money are bad. Having money is bad. I shouldn't have any money. I'm embarrassed that I have more money than my friends, right? Why don't I know how to manage money? Money escapes me. Like I'm afraid to ask for help for money. Nobody talks about money.
No
How
one
could you
does.
possibly talk about money when nobody does it? Now, talking about money is probably the most difficult thing that I find. And I think the reason why people are comforted in my office is because we start with compassion first. So we have to have a place where we're able to talk freely about money and we feel safe, right? Money pays for our very existence,
Mhm.
right? So why would you want to talk about that? It feels life threatening. You go back into that fight or flight. You
Mhm.
go into fight or
Mhm.
flight. Like your life is depends on your hiding this because money pays for where you live, how you live, what you eat. Can you take time off? And it's also been connected to our self-worth, right? So talking about it and saying I'm vulnerable around money is really not vulnerable, but I really am confused about money makes you too vulnerable to talk about it. And a lot of people just don't talk about it. So, back to your question of what is the biggest thing that I see, it's people don't talk about it.
And it's true. It's who a lot of times you don't have someone to talk about it with, because if you're talking with some people, you have more than certain people, you have less than other people, and
Yeah.
the only people we talk to a lot of times for us are like a financial planner, but all they're going to want you to do is put it into like a mutual fund, like a 401k, and then they don't know anything about investing in real estate, or they don't know anything about other types of thing, or buying your own business or things like that. So how can you make it more fun? How can you make it enjoyable? How can you learn more about it? Things like that.
Sure, sure. It's funny. I was just writing something yesterday about the financial fear kind of keeps us in the dark, and we think that you know that the boogeyman is over there, right? It's fear, false events appearing real. How do we make it more fun? We we decide that this is not a big hairy deal. That this is something that, first of all, nobody talks about it. So if you're struggling around money, it's not your fault.
Mhm.
Nobody's talking about it. Our parents don't talk about it. We don't talk about it with the friends or family. So it's not your fault. So it's not a big hairy deal. It's not your fault if you struggle with it. Make a decision to have your money become your best friend, like a support system, a healthy support system to support not only you but your family members, friends, charities that you believe in, being able to travel, buying a second home. How do we make that money? That's where the fun part comes in, right? We find out the thing that is the block, the thing that's getting in our way, the idea that we can't afford it, right? We can't afford it, or money is bad. We figure out what that block is because that got carried down to us. We weren't
Mhm.
born with that. That got carried to us. So we figure out what our block is and decide that, okay, that's where it came from. That's not mine. I am going to master this. And you find a financial coach, right? You read books around it. And make sure that the boogeyman that you see in the corner doesn't dictate your action. In other words, it doesn't stop you from taking action because you go, I can't look at this. It's too
Mhm.
scary. Like there's no Freddy Krueger over there.
Mhm.
The Freddy Krueger is not looking, right? Not taking the time to look and understand uh, how powerful money can be. And it's not the money, it's the money the money that can support, the money can support our lives in a way that's meaningful.
So let's talk about like I find this a challenging topic or conversation, because let's say you're a doctor, and so you make, I don't know, 150 or $200,000 a year, and you're just going to keep making that your whole. And so basically, I think a lot of us, we just think, well, I'm making this much money, I got 50,000 left over every year because I don't spend it all, and then we just kind of spend it on stuff. Now, why do we need to talk about it? What's important for talking and planning, and why isn't what we're doing working?
Well, I think what is really important. Is the old adage, fail to plan, plan to fail, right? So you put $50,000 away, but you still have this undercurrent of financial fear. What the plan does is you're actively deciding which way you want your life to go. It's not about the money.
Okay.
It's about where do you want your life to go. And if you zoom out, again, we want to zoom out away from the money to the bigger picture. On the day that you cross over to the pearly gates and things went incredibly well, everything was perfect, what would it look like, right? So that's where the plan should start. It's not with the money, it's with your soul's purpose. What do you want to do while you're here? Don't miss a minute. We're not here that long. At the end of your life, how did you do? What was exciting? Where were you living? Who were you with? What are you most proud of? Right? And then you start making a financial plan to build towards that and stay on it.
I
Right?
like
So
that.
it's not about the money, it's about your soul's purpose and the plan.
And I think, Sharon, I'll talk about, for me, the guilt is a lot of times we're making a lot of money, but we're also working a lot of hours. And so
Yeah.
the trait, like, and I think something that I say personally is like, I'm not motivated that much by money. It's if I make 150, 200, 250, 300, and I don't know if that's a bad thing to say, but like that, what motivates me is helping people in time off for my church and time off for activities with my family and things like that. And where the tension comes is then when you're working every day and you don't have that time off and you're just used to busting through and work because everyone else is working in the practice.
Right.
And you don't have that time. Like for me, a day off is more important than another whatever that's going to produce me,
Sure.
and that's something else you have to kind of look at. And if you're not on the same page with the other partners in your practice, it can make it a challenge.
Yeah. So part of the plan is zooming out and deciding, is this the life that I want to be living right now? Right.
And are there other things that could produce more? Because I think a lot of times we're in a mindset of like always saying, well, we need more and more and more, meaning how can I make more money? How can I work more hours? How can I get side hustles? Things like that. Are these things I should do? I should invest in real estate. I should buy my building. I should do these other things, but they just rip away at your time.
Yeah.
Doing more and more.
And quite frankly, we passed enough a long time ago. Like the fact that you and I are talking right now, we have enough. Like what does more represent? Like how is more going to enhance your life? That's why zooming out and having a plan, right? And really identifying what is important, like, and getting work out of the way, right? Obviously, you're a doctor, you're passionate about what you do. You like connecting with people, you're a healer, right? So you zoom out and what's the purpose of your life? And does all of this working hours serve you? So, right. So once you start looking at that, you start thinking outside the box, right? And you start thinking differently about how can my life be of service, right? And to me first, to you first. I mean, when you're on the airplane, they say put the oxygen mask on first. In order to be a useful member of in society, to be of service, we have to take care of ourselves first. And part of that is deciding, is the life that I'm living right now really of service to me? And if others' expectations are of me are too much, do I want that as part of my life as well? So like, in terms of building a practice, you want to have like-minded people together who support one another, maybe in a holistic way. We're going to, now, the medical field right now is tricky in terms of more and more patients and more billing and all that stuff. So takes a little bit more thinking outside of the box to make a practice thrive. But in terms of as an individual, we really need to decide what works and just take the time to do it. It doesn't mean, like when we talk about focusing on money. I don't want to focus on money. Money is boring. I don't want to do my checkbook. It's something that we get used to. It's part of our daily plan. And then it builds, and then we move our money muscle and we get stronger at it. And then we go, oh yeah, great. I have my 50 to 100,000. I have my money set aside for church. I'm taking a half an afternoon off on Fridays because I need to replenish my soul.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
I have a plan to take a trip. Whatever those goals are for the soul's purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that. I like that. I think in general, we just kind of go. And this introspection, or it's coaching, basically either self-coaching or getting someone to coach you, is something that it's not too common. Some people, either certain thinking exercises, you can try to do it on your own, but I tend to find it works better with someone else to kind of walk you through that.
We have an accountability partner, and I don't know about you, but for me, I'm very respectful and responsible when I make an appointment with somebody else, but
Yep.
I'll oftentimes cancel it on myself. And before you know it, you go, oh, I really want to do that. That sounds, I want to zoom out and make that plan. And all of a sudden a year has gone by, and now you're 50, and now you're 55. And now, you know what I mean? Time moves fast, and especially when we're busy, right? So having a coach or a financial planner who's on deck and you're connecting with consistently helps you to be accountable, to make a plan and put it in place. And it doesn't have to be hard. It can be really fun and exciting. It opens up the creative part of our thinking. And also, again, when we zoom out on the soul level, things feel possible in a way that when we're in our day-to-day, patient to patient life, doesn't feel possible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What are, like in your thought, what are some of the most successful, I guess we're talking finances, money habits that people have that you see kind of over and over with your most successful clients that you work with? What are some of those? Because it all comes down to habits. Is it balancing your checkbook? Is it evaluating at things once a month? Is it having a coach? Is it reading books? Is it?
It's all of those things, but it starts with knowing what's happening in your own financial picture. It's knowing what you have. So what you own, what you own, what you own, what you owe, what you earn, and what you spend, and where do you spend it, right? So just staying on top of those things and watching to see your net worth has been incredibly helpful to a lot of people who actually have some substantial assets but don't feel like they do, right? So that has been so that they step into the role of empowerment rather than I'm afraid, right? So they keep on top of their books. Now, for the people who can, they hire somebody to help them with it, and then they review the books. So basically staying on your money and understanding what it's doing is important. Also, to not blindly spend without having a plan, right? So
You're talking a budget then, kind of a budget.
Well, kind of a tracking. I really don't like the word budget because
neither do I. So
right,
I like it.
Budget feels constrictive, right? So tracking. So if you have a plan, so the successful people are monitoring what they're doing. They're knowing what they kind of have at the end of the month, because money is always fluid. It's never black and white. They kind of know, and they know they have a slush fund, so they can go out and spend $5,000 on a vacation and not worry about it. So they're clear about where their money is, what it's doing. They're clear about using credit cards and paying them off, finding cards that work for them that they can get free benefits from. And they're not afraid of money. They're not afraid to look at their money. They're in it. Right?
Yeah, I like that. So if people, I want them to learn how they can learn more about you, and then also some of the books, or I know you're working on a course in the future. So tell them how they could, some of the books that you'd recommend. I'll put links underneath this video and podcast.
Sure. I have a website, www.infiniteassetscoaching.com. I do have right now a sign up for, I send out money messages every week. It's called
Mhm.
Prosperity Possible Money Messages for Your Soul. They're free right now. We're also going to be putting out a 5-day Move Your Money Block challenge
Cool.
in the next month. So if you sign up for the Prosperity Possible, you'll get notified on that. So that's really where, and I have a course, we've got a bunch of stuff coming next year.
Okay.
So,
Great.
yeah, but signing up for that Prosperity Possible will give you notifications on that. I am, like I said to you in one of my emails, I'm a little woo-woo, right? I'm very, very practical
Mhm.
about managing money, knowing where it is, knowing what you're doing with it, having a financial planner. But in terms of books, I really like to think outside the box. So there's one book that's called Creating Money. I love it. It's by Sonia Roman and Dwayne Packer. There's also really this one, A Simple Path to Wealth. Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. Really nice book. I'm going to have my own book out, but that'll
Cool.
probably in the next year or so. But I loved his practical approach, and I like the way he talks. So that's a little more practical. There's some Your Money or Your Life by Joe Dominguez, was written years ago, but it's still incredibly relative. And David Bach does Start Late, Finish Rich.
Mhm.
Start, do green, finish rich. Those kind of practical books are helpful just to start moving your money muscle around. What do you do with it if you don't know what you're doing with it? Or even if you have a financial planner doing it and you want to know more about it, they're easy
Yeah.
reads and they're kind of
Yeah.
fun.
Any like, I don't know, communities or like, I think sometimes like group coaching or I don't know, Facebook groups. Do you think those are beneficial? Because I think, like you said, it's a lonely process. It's a lonely thing. Like there's a lot of insecurity in it.
Sure. I have a Facebook group. So,
Okay, cool.
And people don't talk about it. So one of the things that's coming out next year is a mastermind for me to get people to just come in and talk
Actually
about it.
talk about it. Yeah.
When I do groups, the first thing that they say is, "Oh my God, this is the first time somebody's talked about it." So, I haven't found any, I would say go to Facebook.
If you can find one. No,
But there isn't a lot of dialogue going on there either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for broaching this, kind of bringing up this topic. I think it's very important. The best thing I ever found that helped me, this is just because I'm kind of a system guy. I get 2 books on Audible every month. So I have to, and so you pick these books and see if they're on Audible and just kind of listen and fill your mind as you're driving. I think that's the best way to kind of fill it. For any new ideas and go to the site and try to, and I've always found investing in yourself is key. So even if coaching, whatever type of coaching, there's a little investment, but it's a lot better than the alternative of just kind of doing the same thing. So thank you, Sharon. I think this was very beneficial.
So glad to be here. Thanks for asking me.